everyone to episode, I think it's 18.
Yeah, it's episode 18.
Episode 18 of the Knife Nuts podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you tonight. We have the man, the myth, the legend. I know I've used that before to talk about a different person, but this guy is truly a legend. If you don't know about him, you will after tonight, because we have Aaron Frederick with us today.
Yay!
Big country himself. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, you're all gay. I'm telling you.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, looks like there's nothing to edit out.
Nope.
30 seconds in.
Nope, nothing yet.
Nope.
That's true.
What do you all have to edit that shit out?
We do some things.
No, we'll leave that in there. That's fine.
All right.
They edit out a lot of my gay and racial comments.
Oh,
No, not gay comments, just
I
racial
started
comments.
saying, oh, okay. I was gonna say, sometimes I would just like to rub Levon's beard,
That's true.
Fuzzy face makes me warm inside.
And on the outside.
If you rub it
You're so
enough, it'll
bad.
get warm on the outside too.
That's right. Oh my gosh, this is already taking a turn for the worse.
I can usually make things happen that way. It's the sailor in me.
Perfect. Well, we're going to hear a lot about Aaron and his antics. But first off, how are the rest of you guys doing?
I'm alive.
Great.
That's all I ask for.
I'm good.
Brian?
I'm good.
Good.
Wow, Brian's doing the most positive of all of us.
That's fantastic.
That's unusual.
That's a sign for things to come, I can tell.
Yeah, seriously.
So did anybody get anything new?
I'm going to be honest, I actually didn't. I've been pretty happy with the 4 knives that I got. Was it last episode that I talked about? My mini Typhoon, a couple of ZTs. They've all been awesome, so I haven't really, but I did get this knife in a pass around from Blade Forums I kind of forgot I got, which is this Stedeman Shy 5. It's an integral. It's from China. You know those stories about guys that have been married for 40 years, then one day without saying anything they just leave their wife and drive away? It's kind of how I feel about this knife. I should love it. It ticks all the boxes of things I thought I used to like with knives, and it just doesn't do anything for me.
I know why.
It's
though.
like holding
I
a
know
ruler,
why.
but it's just I guess I've started gravitating towards smaller knives because when you have a 5-inch rectangle, it's just it literally feels like holding a stick.
Aaron.
You're used. Never mind. All right. All right.
Yeah, that one
I'll
was-
just sit here then.
Aaron, here's just a tip real quick. If you're going to get the sunflower seeds, hit the mute button.
Oh, sorry.
That's cool.
It's okay.
So back to you were saying you have a 5-inch rectum or something like that.
That's all I heard. Something about a 5-inch rectum.
Oh man, I just
Yeah.
I mean as soon as he started saying small knives and 5-inchers, I lost it from there. I don't even know what he's talking about at this point.
So he grabbed the sunflower seeds and was like, fuck this.
Sorry about that. I have an addiction to sunflower seeds. Levon and everybody, they see it a lot, but sorry about that.
I mean,
That's true.
that whole exchange probably captured my thoughts on the knife better than I can. So we'll go with that.
All I was going to say is that it was because of that atrocious stamped text along the spine of the integral.
The funny thing is that doesn't bother me as much as the awful bluish pink purple anodizing, but
Ooh, tell me more.
I mean, I realize I haven't even posted a picture of this thing yet, so let me.
I like colors.
It's not a color I enjoy. It's a color that apparently people in China seem to really think people enjoy, but I don't know. I should like it. It's premium materials. It's a cool build. It's an integral, but it's just It's just I guess my last 4 or 5 knife purchases have all been 8-inch overall length or less. So I guess I'm not a size queen.
That's what she says. I'd like to interject something as a maker on that shit right there.
Go for it.
The whole anodizing thing, it really kills me. You get this whole group of people on how much they love purple, and then they love the blues, and then all of a sudden it'll switch and it'll be like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, because that's what's sold. And then they start wanting it on things that aren't going to last. You anodize something that's going to go in your pocket, it's going to wear off. And then they're all mad because the color comes off. I was like, are you that big a fucking idiot that you don't realize that anodized is just a color that sits there? People.
No, trust me, I'm all for just blasted gray stuff. That's kind of an ongoing joke.
I'm sure Brian has something to say about this.
I love it. I don't need to say a fucking word. He's saying everything for me.
Yeah, and everybody's switching the colors. You know, if you want to make something look elegant, and you have done, you know, most of these people probably don't know me, but I do file work. If I could file work air and sell it, I would. I file work everything.
File work, all the things. I get it now.
You know, if you want to file work something and make a really, really nice knife, and you anodize something and you make it really a nice, pretty gold that really goes along with the actual gold that you actually put in the knife. You know, I don't understand people on how they all of a sudden start switching all this stuff and they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
I know why they do it. It's all in spite of you, man. That's all it is.
Or it's because the tastes of the enthusiast community are extremely fickle, and it changes every.
We talk about that a lot
every month.
It's once everybody else has it. Now they're fucking bored. They want to have the next thing that nobody has. So give me the green one, and then everybody's on the green dick for a while. Then move on to the next.
What
thing,
the green dick? The Jolly Green Giant? The guy selling you the broccoli?
The broccoli.
The broccoli. Yeah, that's an STD. And you need to go get that shit checked out. Okay, so if it looks like fucking broccoli, you've got a problem.
But yeah,
I mean, it's good to have another maker that has been in the game a while, and both of us can sit and literally look at the knives that people are all of a sudden on this big fad on, and just look at them and go, "You're a fucking imbecile," you know. But
and it's funny because we do have two makers who've been in the game that approach the game from two completely different angles. So we're going to talk more about that later.
Okay, yeah, that actually be a great conversation. So,
yeah, it's almost like we planned some of this shit, Aaron.
You know, I will let you all continue with introducing the show instead of me just jumping in here like a jackass.
No, by all means. I just want to say I'm actually going to go pretty quick. I did get a bunch of crap. Some of it is kind of crap, but some of it's pretty cool. First off, we had one of our listeners, KDC. That's KAEDC. And there's some numbers after
707 or something.
707. Really great guy. Send us a couple of things to check out. One of them was Will Moon's new knife. It had some problems. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. But, you know, Will actually seemed to listen to the feedback, and he's taken that and changing a lot of the ways he's making some of those knives. So we hope it's a nice fresh start for him too. From there, we did get some pretty cool stuff. He sent us a bunch of fixed blades, which I'll post some pictures of at some point. Another handmade custom from a maker I'm not too familiar with, but Jake does know him. What's it called? Wind River Wild Knives, Jake? Do you know anything about it?
I know very little about them. I know his website says that he has only been making knives for 8 months, which may not be up to date, but that folder is very, very nice for a new maker. Yeah,
I think it's pretty nice. It's definitely my favorite of the stuff that he sent. He also did send along one of the steel wheel residents. That's a great little knife, little titanium frame lock on the lock side, obviously, and then you have carbon fiber on the show side. Little thumb disc, folder, really good. I think it's like $90, $85.
Yeah, right about that.
Can't go wrong. Really great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also got a goodie bag from our sponsor, Tackle Outdoors. Thank you for that. And it's got some pretty crazy stuff in there. So first and foremost, the thing that I love the most is I finally got a Spyderco Shaman, and I love this knife, man. Like, I think this is my favorite Spyderco.
I mean, I'm glad one of us got it. We were very excited about it, but I don't know, the map price increasing just kind of threw me off.
Yeah, the good thing is that I know a couple of our listeners picked the knife up off of Tackle Outdoors with our coupon code, and it kind of made a big difference. And he also has free shipping over $50, so that kind of helped out as well. I also took delivery of a CRKT. What the heck is it called? It's the Richard Rogers design.
God, Maven or something.
Okay,
I'll put it in.
So it
Shit show.
it's $50, and it's kind of awful. On the opposite side, it's not awful. I shouldn't be that harsh. It's just the fact that the other two knives that I got were significantly cheaper and are significantly better. And they're by a brand that everyone would associate with a gas station. So we also got two M-Tech knives in. One of them, okay, I'm not even kidding. We asked Tackle Outdoors to send them to us almost as a joke. And I opened it up and I was like, holy shit, we should all be terrified. Because this thing, they're both on bearings, but the one is close to $40-50. It does feel like a $50 knife. I will give it that. The other one is $10.95. If only the steel were $10.95, that would be pretty cool too. But it's a little flipper, mystery steel, anodized aluminum scales, liner lock, deep carry clip, fantastic action. Jake, I'm coming over tomorrow and I'm going to bring this thing. You're going to be amazed at what you see. Like the thing flips, it's smooth as shit. I can't believe it. There's no excuse for everyone not to have one. Even anyone who's ever listened to our show or follows us on Instagram says, "Oh my God, you guys post so much expensive knives that I can't buy." Well, you can buy this damn thing for $10.95, and you'll have an idea of what a good knife actually flips like. Because up until now, I don't think you could get a proper action on a knife without spending a decent amount of money. They're at least 5 times the amount. At least you were at least $50 in before getting a knife that flipped and felt well. This is $10.
I would agree with that for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This thing's $11, and it's better. And I said this on my Instagram. It's better than knives that cost 10 times as much.
I mean, it looks better than the last $11 M-Tech I bought, which is now in the hands of the Smithfield Police Department. So, I have a bad history with M-Techs.
I want to know that fucking story.
It's not that exciting. High school trespassing, cops take knife.
You were trespassing?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. You're a criminal.
I know. It was.
What was that guy in Transformers? Oh, criminals are hot.
I have no clue.
Yeah, but that's the only knife I've ever lost, and it was an M-Tech. It was an M-Tech Daryl Ralph ripoff. So I like to see that the M-Tech has come a long way.
I'm incredible. I'm still in shock. In case you haven't realized this from my voice, I'm completely blown away. It boggles the mind that this thing costs so little. Like, how do you even make a knife for that much and sell it and make a profit on it? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, honestly, I have said this kind of thing for years. Where do they get their fucking metal that they can afford this shit?
Exactly.
I mean, I've said that forever. It's like, I mean, I don't care if it's made out of freaking pot metal. How do you afford this?
I mean, and this is ground into a knife. And I broke down a box with it earlier, and it's still a knife.
It just catastrophically deconstruct itself.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be recycled electronic waste sent from the U.S. to China, because what the hell can you do with that stuff? It's got to be it's an old Dell computer.
Might as well. At least they're doing something with them. At least it works.
I think it's an old melted down IBM.
Right.
Well, it could. You could say, at least the lock works. I know
the lock is great. Everything about it. And here's my conspiracy theory. It feels and looks very much like Browse's budget line.
The pocket clip looked the same.
It's exactly the same as any of the cheaper Browse knives. The ones that come in the plastic cylinders?
Yeah, it looks like a Browse.
It feels and acts exactly like them, only with a better detent.
Wow.
I don't know the knife you're talking about.
I can't wait till we get this M-Tech sponsorship and really make it big time.
Oh my God. This is not... If we get Elio's Pizza and M-Tech knives, we're done for.
Yeah, we'll get radiation poisoning and diabetes.
Some of us are already halfway there, I'm sure.
My son has diabetes. Isn't it funny?
There you go. Anyway, moving on. Aaron.
Oh, it's a true story. He does.
A
lot of people do.
Type 1 or type 2? I was assuming we had type 2 diabetes.
No, he has type 1.
Oh, exactly. So that's fine. We're going to get type 2 diabetes.
I get that. You get that when you fat. No, I really shouldn't have said that. I'm just fucking with you.
I know he is.
He doesn't know me like some of you guys do.
I've been warned.
We gave him fair warning.
I am 100%. When everybody says, "Man, that guy's an asshole," yeah, well, you add asshole and then add some more. There you go.
Jake, you got something pretty cool, right? Today, maybe?
Yeah, I think in honor of our guest, I'm going to cut my really, really long-winded, lengthy review of the Wicked Edge Pro Gen 3 that I just got a little bit short. But I did get some questions on Instagram about it, so I will at least address my initial impressions. I just got it today. I only sharpened one knife with it, so I can't give you a...
It's enough to make a YouTube video these days.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My lab's making noise. I'm sorry.
Oh, was that the dog? I thought that was you eating the sunflower seeds.
No, that's Loki. He decided that he was going to come over here and make sure I was alive and not drunk to death. So I have a just so the people listening, as I have a 140-pound lab, and no, he's not that fat. He's just that freaking big, and he follows me around from the house to the shop. I actually take him everywhere with me, just about, and so he just kind of bounces around, and he's trying to get in my freaking lap right now.
Shout out to Loki. Loki is awesome.
Loki is a big old boy.
And there's also Biscuit, too.
Biscuit actually jumped down because Loki knocked him off the chair. Biscuit is a rescue cat that belongs to the 140-pound lab. And I'm sorry I interrupted your knife review of a I don't know.
It's the Wicked Edge sharpening system, Aaron. Come on, you have to have heard of it before.
I might have. I don't use them, but okay.
Well, with any luck, you'll see this one when you come for a visit.
I
versa.
just sent an entire box of knives up to you guys. I think there's 4 in there. There might be 5. I really packed it when I was incredibly drunk. So it is coming up there. So you can sharpen all of them. I'm sure when you open the box, every single one of them will be dull as shit because they're mine. They're my knives, and that's the way you get one of mine. Is they're generally just stubby, just So
Who wants a knife that can cut stuff, right?
Nah, I mean that's just we just make these sumbitches for show. Where's my other maker? Daggone it. We just make this shit for show, ain't we? I mean,
some of them.
We don't make this stuff to cut nothing. Daggone.
Brian, someone on the subreddit for knives called your knives ugly, overpriced pry bars. So apparently that's what you make.
No way, for real?
Yeah, apparently that's what you make.
I make those called breacher bars. VBS is breachers, but I'm sure we'll get to that, and I will sit here and shut up so you guys can actually do your show.
I think you should have your own show, man.
Yeah, well, nobody likes me that much. I mean, there'd be like 6 visitors, and 4 of them would be family or something.
One of them would be a cat named Biscuit, and a dog.
Well, I was getting ready to say one of them would be a dog,
right?
A lab. Just
makes
looking
sense.
At me. He finally went over and sit down. I'm sorry. I'll sit here and be quiet.
There are not enough podcasts about sunflower seeds and big country dicks or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Yes, please move on, or I'll start talking again.
You have a new
say,
Wicked Edge.
Yeah, it's good so far. Do I need to say more than that? I mean, Stephen Bishop asked me a very lengthy question. It was a good question, and I was going to go into a whole thing. And I'm just going to give him my gut reaction. So far, the clamp is way better. The fact that the system itself, it's not attached to any kind of base. Just the system weighs like 17 pounds, so you don't need any. One problem I had with my first gen Wicked Edge WE100 I've had for years. Thank you, Kate. when I wanted to take it to a friend's house, they'd be bring your sharpener over so you can sharpen my stuff when you're here, especially non-knife people. It was really a pain to carry that thing around, and even though this is 10 times the size, it's actually going to be smaller and easier to transport just because it does not have to be attached to a big, marble, paper stone, whatever base. It is what it is. It just sits there. It's like 3/4 inch thick aluminum on every side. So the clamp is way superior. The arms are on rod ends now, which is I think an absolute necessity. The adjustments are all accurate. I used my, angle finder and played with it, and I just can't find anything I don't like so far. And that's about 6 hours of fidgeting, and I'll have to report back when I see something I don't like. But it's definitely, I think, as big of a jump as it is from a Lansky or something like that to a basic Wicked Edge. It was an equal-sized, huge jump to the Pro. And I think the most important thing that I don't want to have to type out is that I got it from a very unique source that we're having trouble figuring out exactly what Kingdom Knives is. Not to be confused with Kingdom Armory, but
I thought you were going to say your mom. Sorry.
That was the short-winded explanation of the new sharpening system.
Yeah,
yes, I'm surprised. Did you start medication or something? Because normally it's 40,000 fucking words to get it out.
Hey Brian, here's my one response to this, and you'll understand it too. Every time somebody asks me about these kind of sharpeners, they always ask me, "Hey, what angle do you grind your knives? What bevel?
Yeah.
What angle do you grind your bevel?" And I'm like,
depends how many beers I had, man.
That's exactly the answer I'd love to say, but it really depends on the knife. It depends on the grind. It depends on any of this. And, when they start that kind of stuff, it's really hard for me to say, because on some of my knives, it may be a very deep grind. On some of them, it may be paper thin. I never know. And when they really say, well, what angle do you grind all this stuff? How do you answer that?
They normally, I used to get that a lot in the beginning, but I haven't had somebody ask me that in quite a long time now.
It's a way different question for a knife that has any kind of robotics associated with its production compared to Aaron, who uses his hands and a rock basically to build his knife. So
that's pretty much that's the story.
It's a very different question.
I'm fucking dumb as shit. So
but there's no referencing the way that your machine set up a bevel or anything like that. So
okay, yeah, I just wondered about that. The other question I would have about that sharpener is the clamp on the blade. Mm-hmm. Do you ever have any issues with it scratching the blades or making a mark or anything like that?
No, aluminum is just, first off, aluminum is so much softer than obviously steel, but even a DLC or a PVD or whatever. If the blade moves, one of the popular beginners failures with these that actually clamp the knife, if it's not set up right and it moves while you're sharpening it, then you could have some of the material rub off onto the blade or whatever. But from talking to other people that use these things, almost everybody puts a piece of tape on the blade if they're worried about it. I never do, because most of the knives I'm sharpening are my users.
So if anybody used one of these on mine, just for reference, you need to wrap the knife in a whole car worth of leather, not to scratch the blade, because I use pot metal. Okay, so you're gonna ruin the blade if you try to use one of these clamps. You're actually probably going to crush it. It's probably not even heat treated. It's
the first time I clamped your one of your knives into this thing, I haven't seen the knife since.
Exploded.
It's
good.
It's squeezed down so small it just fell into the sharpener somewhere.
It didn't rub off on the blade. The blade rubbed off on the sharpener.
That's right. That's right.
This is a good time to talk about Jake's man crush on Aaron Frederick, Speaking of rub off, I'm sure there's been a lot of times where he's rubbed off onto Aaron.
It's okay. I'm a sailor. I can handle that.
That's true. A little self-deprecating humor. There it is.
He told me up front he was a sailor and he can handle anything.
Yeah, I can pretty much roll with whatever you go.
Do I have to defend myself?
No, not at all.
I don't feel like you need
I'm going to. Aaron makes me laugh.
I mean, I'll hold your hand if you need it. Yeah.
And so did my wife. And you look what happened to her. She got pregnant twice.
And what's funny is when Jake talks to Aaron Frederick or even mentions Aaron Frederick's name, he starts to get a little southern twang to his voice. It's almost like he's trying to channel him. It's really funny.
I don't even know what the fuck you're all talking about. I do not have an accent. You cocksuckers.
Well, I guess now's a good time for us to talk about Aaron.
Yeah.
Or have Aaron talk about Aaron. How about that?
That's a great idea.
I've pretty much fucked the whole show up, so you all just do everything you can.
No, this is absolutely fabulous, buddy. So
the show's only good quality is honesty. So you haven't fucked anything up.
Brutal.
Well, I really do like the fact that you're trying those sharpeners. Here is my honest thing about it. I've never really used one, but I really feel as a custom maker that every person that really gets into custom knives needs to have a couple of $100 worth of sharpening systems. I will say that what is it, DMT, the Diamond Stones. I really, really respect them as a company, and I know you all haven't introduced me, and I know you all haven't done all this stuff, but I want to tell this right now while I'm thinking about it. When I was in the Navy, I would be boots on ground in Iraq and things like that. And everybody found out that I made knives because I had no problem telling everybody, because I was selling a lot of CRKT before they stuck me in the back and hit me in the ass with a big rocket. But
CRKT did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, CRKT.
Yeah.
Right. I used to sharpen everyone's knives. Everyone's. Every jerk-off Marine that found out that I would sharpen their K-bars, I would sharpen them. I would literally come back to my rack and sharpen knives half the night. Because, well, one, you ain't got nothing else to do. You're in hell, so you might as well sharpen knives. So I had two DMT stones. I had a black, which is a coarse, and a red, which is kind of a fine. And I had a leather strop that was mine that I actually made. And I would sharpen everybody's knives, and then I would have somebody go back and deliver all the knives to something, because I was an officer and I could tell somebody to go do shit. And when I got home and I told DMT that I had done that with basically the same stones for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives that I had resharpened and resharpened, they sent me brand new stones. I didn't ask for it. I just wanted to go tell them, hey, I've sharpened these. So I got new stones from DMT. They sent them to me. They just gave them to me.
And you're still using them today.
Oh, yes, I still do. I actually didn't even really start using the new stones that they sent me hardly until it just really started doing VBSS stuff. But basically, the whole point of that I was talking about is everybody starts talking about the steels that we use. And Brian I guarantee he can confirm this. If you're sitting there looking at a $400 or $500 knife, and you don't at least have stones to be able to sharpen that, why are you fucking with me? Go away, because your Arkansas stone is about as useless as a limp dick. They won't do anything. Get some stones, but there it is.
Brian would prefer that you don't sharpen his knives and you send them back to him to get sharpened.
No, I do not prefer that. I'd rather you slit your wrist with it than do that.
Damn.
Oh my God, I think I have a love affair with this man. I think we should collaborate. Let's make knives together.
Oh shit!
What?
Oh no, match made in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, halfway through the collaboration, they would quit making knives. Actually,
That's
What
true.
happened. They'd be like, "Fuck
these
this."
people.
Yeah.
That's
I hate-
the actual hard Kari.
I hate everyone. Fuck these people.
So, Aaron, you just got back from Florida, from the East Coast Custom Knife Show. How was it?
Well, the first thing that you never do is trash a show. The traffic was very light. The show setup was perfect. The room was great. The venue was great. Honestly, just no one showed up. I sold enough to cover the show, but it was a tough show, and
They're still building. Yeah, that's only the second year, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the second year that it's been.
it is the second year, and most people, and Steve Delac runs that show, and a lot of people know, some people don't. I work with Steve a whole lot. Steve has really helped me out through the years, especially when I first got back from the military. So I did the security at the TKI and things like that. So I work with Steve some, but it's very tough to start a show. And when you have to start a show because knife laws and politicians are dickheads, it's really tough. The March show that normally was held in New York City,
Mhm.
we used to have it in the Crown Plaza. That was one of the better shows that I ever had. And I tell you the comparison of it, Brian will know what I'm talking about. The AKI, which is the most high-end makers in the entire world, there was so many of them at that normal March show in New York City that they had a meeting at that show because they had at least 75% of the members. So you got guys that are selling knives for $20,000 and $30,000 a piece that come to this show. So they kick us out of New York because we can't have thumb studs. And then you go to New Jersey, which wants to start making exotic materials, even though they're not. I literally had somebody tell us that mastodon and mammoth was an endangered species. I'm like,
It's like, I got news for you, buddy.
They're more than endangered.
yeah. So
They're a little more
So-
than endangered, buddy.
So we have a hard time with having very high-end knives because everybody wants to use fossilized ivory of some sort, for handles on very, very expensive knives. So the March show is normally a very high-end knife show. So everybody doesn't go to jail. He's had to move it, and building a show is tough, especially in the days of the internet and things like that. So the show was it wasn't dismal, but it's building.
Let me ask you, how much does it cost for a table for that show? Because if it's the same like it was in New York, I mean that's a pricey amount for a maker to go and not get the traffic.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree with you there. I think the tables were $500.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Oh,
So he
that's not
dropped
bad.
it.
No, it wasn't the normal like $750 like in
Yeah.
New York.
Right.
No.
Oh, so
And
that's
it
good.
was also, you had an 8-foot table and a big room. You had plenty of room. They also had a bar set up inside.
Oh, that's
They
nice.
they
Oh,
served breakfast to all the people that were VIPs, and they served breakfast and things in the room for all the makers, and that was free. That was part of the show package.
Well, that's
So-
cool.
Yeah, that's good.
And he moved it and adjusted it. The only downside is that spring break's going on, and you've got a whole group of idiots running around. Half the girls are naked, but okay, but you still have a a very expensive motel room. Next year, he's already talked to me about it. They're going to try to get it away from spring break, and the motel rooms will go down a little bit. But
That makes sense.
it is what it is. It was a tough show. I mean, it really was. I really sat there and looked at myself and said, "What the fuck did I do wrong here?" So.
Well, you've got some exciting stuff coming out. Maybe that wasn't the right audience to see some of this new stuff.
It really wasn't.
I'm pretty excited personally about some of the stuff you have on the horizon. But before we get to that, Aaron, can you talk a little bit about your origin, so to speak? I know you've been doing this a long time, and I don't think at least most of our audience doesn't know how deep down the knife making rabbit hole you've been. So if you can tell us a little bit about your history, that would be great.
Okay. Well, that's I probably did come into this very different than Brian. When I started doing this, I came from the very, very high end section of the deal. I mean, I actually started doing this 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was only 16 when I started it, and some people may or may not know, but my teacher was John W. Smith from Kentucky. He was an AKI maker. He's actually one of the best makers in the world.
Just tell everyone what an AKI maker is.
It's Art Knife Invitational. The only way you can get into it is be voted in by the actual other makers. They only have the show once every 2 years. And generally, when you go into the room, first of all, to be able to go into the room, you have to be a customer that is invited to come to the show. You can't just say, well, I wouldn't want to go to the AKI. You have to be invited to go to it. And on the other side of that, it's about $300 to walk in the door just to get in. And you have to try to win a knife. You don't just get to go up and say, hey, I want that knife. You got to put your name in for that knife, and there's kind of a lottery to be allowed to buy that knife. And the last several years that I was there with John, there was $1.9 million worth of knives sold.
Oh my God.
Out of 30 makers.
Jesus.
So it's a little different room than your tactical $100 knives.
We're talking fine metals. We're talking a lot of engraving, that kind of thing.
Yeah. You're talking about knives that people spent 6 months on. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, I CNC'd this, and here
like
it
Brian,
is.
he prints his knives out. So
I don't want to knock CNC guys. I really don't. I'm just saying that when you got somebody that sits and engraves for 100 hours or something on a knife, they should get paid more than somebody that writes
they damn well better, right? I mean,
I'm just saying that you're writing a program. It takes a certain amount of skill. I understand, and I sure do not have it. But when you sit and hand engrave something,
I think if Brian spent 4 months on what single knife, he might actually kill himself.
Maybe
he's muted up, so we can't even respond.
I would like to see what a 4-month CNC knife looks like.
It's just all CNC'd away. There's just nothing left.
It is just dust.
Oh,
so
I got great news for you, Dave. I have a knife that I made that took 4 months.
It's still not even done yet.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Play.
The hell with you, because I have all kinds of them that have taken me that long, assholes.
Yeah,
but I do most things with files, so fuck it. So Levon, I have absolutely no idea where I was because I'm an idiot. So
you were just talking about your training under John W. Smith, who is also your father-in-law.
Yes, he is. I started this when I was 16. Of course, I started like most everybody making fixed blades or whatever. Did that for a long time. And then I'd say I can't say a long time. The Damascus kind of frenzy started about 2 years after I really got into knives. And, it's kind of funny is that I got into it just basically saying, man, I love knives because, I hunt all the time.
Sorry to interrupt. Just give us an idea what year this is. Just to kind of
That
frame
was 1993.
Cool.
Makes sense.
When I started dating John's daughter.
Well said.
And he finally told me I could come out in the shop and kind of learn what he was doing and him not kill me because eventually he knows that I'm boning his daughter. And then I got very interested on the process of how you're making things. I have never been like, oh look, just a knife. I really like the how, what you're doing. If you give me 3 of the same thing, same model, same everything, I'll make 3 different knives because I don't have a set way that I like to do things. Even then. So when the Damascus craze really started in probably 95 on up, we went and actually Rick Hinder and John Essler, and I don't know if John Essler even makes knives anymore, but of course everybody knows Hinder knives. Hinder used to make a lot of Damascus, and we went in 95 and learned how to make Damascus from Hinder. And we stayed at Hinder's house, and I know everybody knows Hinder knives, but back in those days, Hinder actually had a shop in a big barn, and his house, and he lived up in the top of the loft.
Wow.
Of this barn type deal.
Times have changed.
Oh, yes, sir. And he taught us how to make Damascus, and then how to actually forge it up. What we're going to do, how you're going to forge it up. And pattern wise, that's always kind of just something that's up to you. But he taught us actually how to forge it. So the first Damascus we started to make was probably in 95, 96. And then I went to college in 96. And of course, I started doing metals when I was in college. And I started getting a bunch of the knowledge to be able to do it. So we built a press and things like that, 96, 97. And then we really started making a lot of steel. And then the high-end market was probably where I lived from probably 97 all the way until 2001. And I really made a lot of high-end automatics and things like that.
Wow.
Made all my own steel. I did a lot of actual gold work. I do a whole lot of engraving and, actual engraving and things back in those days. And then, no matter how anybody wants to look at it, when the towers fell in 2001, the knife market even changed. The high-end market started kind of just not being what it was. It just it started going more tactical and more repetitive, and I call them cookie cutter knives.
Do you think that
if you make 15 of the same thing and nothing changes, that's a cookie cutter?
Aaron, do you think that had something to do with the fact that people felt like they had to be more ready for shit to hit the fan? Or do you think it was, what should I say? Do I think it should be something that should have happened, or do you think it was kind of an overreaction to something?
Well,
Levon with the deep psychological insights here.
No, I think it's interesting.
I really understand what he's talking about. I never did understand it. I never understood why everybody thought that money was doing anything.
Because the money didn't really hit. Yeah, because money didn't really hit the fan until what, like 2008, or I guess slightly before that.
Maybe before that. things just changed. That
Right.
I mean, that's all I can really say. The
That's
knife
for damn
market
sure.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
The knife market changed, and I'll say just flat out. I mean, I didn't stay in the game as tight as I could, but there is one point, and Brian, I actually don't know when you entered the market. When
Like 2 years
when
ago.
when you actually start looking at certain things, in say 2002, 2003, early 2003, there was a great market for a dressed up, a little bit tactical knife for the $600 range.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know there was knives for 10 years after that. I
That's
didn't
awesome.
even know
Okay,
about
well-
custom knives.
Okay. Well, in the 2002, 2003, at the $600 range, I honest to goodness owned that market. I file worked the blades, I file worked the liners, I put Macedon on the handles, I would put Damascus on the bolsters, and I would sell those as fast as I could get them done. And then in 2003, I just decided that for some reason, even though my knife business was going pretty good, I would join the military. Woohoo! So I kind of laid out of the market, the main market, for a lot of years after 2003. I still made knives. I still sold a lot of knives. I still sent them to wherever. I just didn't do as many shows.
Well, you can't say woohoo because the military's been like a big part of your life. You know, it's not just something to gloss over, right?
Well, no, I won't gloss over it because I am I'm the epitome of go Navy. You know, so I don't know. Kind of steer me where you want me to go. I actually loved the military, and I only got out because I wound up getting hurt so bad. And then I'm even at this point right now that I've healed up, I'm doing everything I can to see if I can't get into the Army Reserves. I'm switching branches, but I'm doing everything I can to get back into the Army Reserves because I still feel like I have something to contribute. So, but
And even while you were there, I mean, knives played a big part, you know, in what you were doing, not only because you knew everybody had to have one with them, but I think a lot of people knew you were a knife maker. You said it yourself, you would sharpen people's knives on base, but you've made knives for a lot of people that carry them, right?
well, I designed an entire line of knives, and I was what they call a VBSS. It's Visit Board Search and Seizure Officer. I was a boarding officer for teams that just search vessels. Basically, anytime you're out in the ocean, you see all kinds of ships. But when you're in an area that's really bad, let's just name every country in the Middle East. Anytime you're over in that area, you go out and search those vessels, even if they're just little old fishing vessels. And most of the time, you just go out and talk to them. You give them a case of water. You give them a whole carton of cigarettes. Give them a bunch of candy. You know, that's your normal boarding as a VBSS officer. Every once in a while, you'll run into something that sucks. And I designed an entire line of knives of VBSS stuff. And the fixed blades and the folders, obviously, because they have moving parts, they're not near as strong as the fixed blades. But the fixed blades that I did, you could, I mean, they should be able to stand a fucking nuclear explosion.
Now, I mean, I've seen these knives, the folders and the fixed blades. Like we talk about how someone called one of Brian's knives a folding pry bar. That person's obviously an idiot, but that's beside the
fuck
point.
that guy, by the way.
Yeah, that guy sucks. But you actually made a folding pry bar that cuts shit.
Well, it's literally called a breacher, and that's literally what it is. The Brian will appreciate it. Brian, when I do those knives, I have to make the pivots for them. I have to heat treat the pivots. I actually can't make them out of regular stuff, so the The normal size of those is 160,000 titanium, the liners, and then I can't countersink anything because I got to leave as much titanium and stuff to hold them in place as I can.
Right.
Throughout the spacer that I do, I actually put heat treated 1/8 pins all the way down the spacer on the inside to hold them together. So if somebody actually does start, torquing down on them like an idiot when they should be torquing up on the blade, but people are idiots, that they don't give up. So I literally sit and design these things till somebody can do something stupid with them, and the knife still make it back. Obviously you need a fixed blade when you're really doing this stuff, but the folders will be able to handle it, because I actually literally have to hand make every piece, or they just don't work.
I've showed a couple of those knives to friends of mine that are service members, firefighters and stuff, and it really does speak to them. Are you going to continue to make some of them? We'll link to pictures of them and things like that in the description.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I've even got to the point that, I give police and firefighters and, military and everything, I give them a discount on my knives. When I first started making the breachers, and I just got out of the service, and I was trying to show them to VBSS guys. I've never been associated with SEALs. VBSS and the SEALs are not the same thing. The SEALs taught us how to do a lot of this stuff. But through word of mouth and things like that, some of these knives wound up in the hands of some of the SEALs and some of the VBSS and some of the SWICs and things like that. So a lot of times when these guys will call and start talking about knives, I'll ask them, what their pay grade is, and that I would like to speak to their chief. And then so I've made a whole lot of these knives for service members that were E3s and E4s. And I'll talk to their chief and I'll find out. You tell me, is this guy an actual E3, E4? And I know what that sumbitch makes for a living. I know what his pay is. And there's a lot of times that I would send these guys knives and I basically almost lose money on them because I was trying to send them downrange. I understood
that will actually
exactly where they were.
They'll actually use it. Speaking of SEALs and being trained, don't you have a story about a somewhat famous knife maker who was sent to train Navy SEALs, quote unquote?
Well,
you ought to tell that. You ought to tell that story.
I like the sound of this.
And go ahead and mention names because it's funny as shit.
I'll start a fucking firefight if I tell this.
Nah, you'll be fine. Just go ahead and tell it.
You talking about the one with the Master Chief?
You don't have to name names if you don't want to name names. Don't pressure the poor guy.
Let's just leave names out of it because I don't want to stab somebody in the fucking neck at a knife show. I mean, somebody approaches me, I'll be like Kit Carson with the same dude. When they had a problem at the show, Kit Carson told him just flat out, if you say anything else, I'm going to let this pistol rack underneath this table.
What?
Same dude.
What?
I'm lost.
Kit Carson really did that?
You damn right. Kit Carson is on the other side of that, I don't know how you're all going to edit this shit.
Well, he's a dead person. We know that.
Well, Kit Carson is one of my teachers. Okay. I was trained by everybody that taught me how to make knives is fucking royalty.
Seriously.
In the knife business. When John couldn't go to a show, Kit Carson was basically who took care of me at shows. Okay. So I have literal patterns, like hard patterns. I have drawing all kinds of stuff from Kit Carson. I have actual hard patterns from Ron Lake. I have stuff from Jared Corby, or not Corby. Corby. He worked in the movie Cobra. I grew up with these guys. I was 16 running around, 17 running around a lot of these guys. So, but
you were the young whippersnapper.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was not stupid enough that I didn't pay attention to everything that they told me. And I didn't just think that I knew everything. I knew I was a jack off, and they taught me how to do stuff. But the story that you're talking about, when I was already enlisted in the Navy, I decided that I really wanted to go officer. I already had a degree, so I didn't have to do anything about it. So I wound up with a master chief out of Louisville that had basically transferred there to do recruiting because he was going to retire. He already had about 35 years in. He'd been shot like 6 times. He'd been stabbed a couple of times. He had so many Purple Hearts that it was just stupid. He was a Navy SEAL. He used to be, he used to be a Navy SEAL. He was a SWIC. He had both pins on. I mean, he was a terrifying,
high-ranking.
Oh my gosh, he was a terrifying Master Chief. So here I was, an E5 gunner's mate, and
small fry.
He was helping me go into officer school, and he knew I was going to be an officer. He knew he was going to get me in. And then so after most of my paperwork, and I'd almost been completely accepted, he was like, "What do you do? Since you're in the reserves?" Finds out I'm a knife maker, and on and on and on. So he goes, I know a knife maker, and the guy showed up to teach us how to knife fight, on self-defense and knife fighting. I was like, "Oh, really?" And he told me the guy's name, and he told me, the knives and things like that. And this was in California. I don't know.
It's a hint.
I don't know which SEAL team it was. 2, 5, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, it's SEAL Team 6. What the fuck's that supposed to mean? What makes a difference? SEALs are fucking badasses. It doesn't matter what they are. But anyway, the Master Chief goes over and watches whoever it is training a knife fight. And the Master Chief taps an E5, which is a petty officer second class. He taps him on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey, go take that fucking knife from me." So, this guy is showing on how badass, you can train with knives. This E5, which is probably 20 years old, walks into the thing and whips the absolute piss out of the person that's supposed to show on how the knife fight.
That's amazing.
And takes the knife, walks back to the Master Chief, and says, "Here, Master Chief, what do you want me to do?" And this is a custom knife that he's demonstrating all his shit with. Well, the Master Chief looks at the whole group and said, "Dismissed." And everybody just looks at the guy that's training.
Would you say anybody waved?
Oh, the Master Chief, as soon as the Master
That
Chief
was
said
another
dismissed, that's it. Nobody said anything. Master Chief just said dismissed. Everybody left. The Master Chief walked away with the knife. He actually walks away with the knife. And the Master Chief, the next time I see him, brings it to him and shows it to me. And I was like, "Hey, Master Chief, I could probably get like $1,900 for that knife, like right now. I could sell that right now." And that was in probably January of 2005.
Wow.
So yeah, true story. Master Chief Baldridge, he didn't fuck around. True story, but I don't know how you're going to edit that shit.
That is also the Master Chief that the Halo series is based on.
Fun fact.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
Fun fact.
Well, he was a bad son of a bitch, though. Woohoo.
It's a good story.
Back to.
All right, what else you want to talk about? Woohoo.
Well, that's some crazy stories that you've told us, but you have a lot of stuff coming up too. Namely, these projects under the Trash Panda label. What is Trash Panda?
Well, I really wanted to try to branch out and make a knife that was absolutely as hard use as somebody could do. So Trash Panda started out with a fixed blade. And it's a very big fixed blade. And normally I make them out of 3V. and Trash Panda, and basically all my knives, but Trash Panda especially, have a lifetime warranty.
That's something that I know everyone who owns one of your knives always talks about, is that you basically don't care what people do to your knives. You take care of them.
I just want a story.
Right.
I really just want a story, and it really doesn't matter what knife it is. I want a story. Tell me something that I can show everybody what you did to fuck this knife up. You know, there's only certain things that you can't stand behind. You can't stand behind wood. You can't stand behind ivory. You can't stand behind pearl. You know, but if your blade and your lock are there, and you fuck it up, I will fix it or I will replace it. I've always done that. And the only problem that I've ever had is everybody looks at my prices and goes, well, then what the fuck is wrong with it?
So let me clarify that for everyone. Aaron's prices are low. So Aaron does not charge. Having a $500, $600 knife from Aaron is a rarity. Most of his knives run between $250 and $475.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, you get a $600 knife.
Sure, once the materials get in there.
Yeah, I've dressed it up or I've used something silly. But I've always said in any environment that I've ever done any of this, I've always said that I would rather everybody in the room have one of my knives in their pocket than me be the most spoken, most talked about knife maker that they want to get a lotto from.
Right.
I've never worried about what this secondary market that I got this knife for $600 and I'm going to turn around and sell it for $18.
Right.
I've never worried about that because that shit only lasts a little while. I've done this for 25 years. Most of these people, I have watched so many people come and go that they don't even know what the knife business is even fucking about. You know, it drives me crazy. We're like, well, this guy is hot shit. Yeah, well, he's going to start taking money from people and not producing the knives, and he'll be gone in 2 years.
Yep.
And I can give examples. I can throw names down.
The threat is real. The threat is real. And I have to tell you, it all comes down to perception. It's very funny when you tell someone you have, immaculately made knives. There's not a CNC machine in your shop. You don't water jet any parts.
Mm-mm.
Everything is hand cut, hand filed, and hand finished. So that's something to be said right there. And a lot of people say, oh, well, he must be making that shit in Pakistan then. It does not compute to them that this does not cost $1,000. And I can't help but think that if you put a $900 price tag on one of your knives, it might be like, oh, my God, I got to have that knife.
I've had that discussion with a couple of makers, and I will name drop on this one. Brian Fellholder and John Gray, both recently. John Gray, I think, this week, and Brian Fellholder maybe 2 weeks ago. We're complaining. It's like, dude, I think if you raise your prices, people would buy knives more. I don't understand that logic, but on the other side of that, I don't understand the logic of the buyers. When you say that kind of stuff, where is their head?
Well, you've got to remember, like, we're in a weird pocket now. Like, makers who were making the same knife, 2 years ago have doubled the price of their knives at their table to meet the demands of the secondary market because half that money wasn't going to them. Like, I can talk about the like Jesper Voxnays, for example. You could get one of his knives, $500 at his table, a couple years ago. Now, $950, $1,000. And does he sell every single one? Damn right. And he only comes to the show with maybe 3 knives. So there's that. Now, going back to the Trash Panda line, I was under the impression when you first launched this brand that this was going to be like a semi-production line that you were producing. But no, they are still full-blown custom knives made for a different audience.
Well, I really tried. I really did. I really tried. The John has a very fucking decrepit old CNC machine that, if you really get down to it, to me, it's more like a pantograph. It's a very old deal. It barely will do a profile. I mean, it's basically an email that might as well be run off tape.
John Gray was talking to me about getting one of those at some point too.
Brian, are you still hanging?
Brian's there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Well, it's a 1992 Herco. That basically the machine that he has can do a profile of a knife. Right. It just barely does that. And when I did Trash Panda, I really thought that I was going to be able to cut these knives out with a bandsaw and throw them down and have this thing go around them and just do the profile. But the more I found out, the more the machine was taking longer than I could literally cut them, because, what's a 1992 CNC machine?
I mean, they had decent ones back there, but like you said, you're talking about an e-mill that's just doing X and Y, and it's probably dovetail ways, maybe box ways. So there's a lot of play in them, and it's just, they're not that great.
And everything that they would throw off on it, it wouldn't match up with what I was trying to do. So most of the time it wound up slower than what I wanted to be.
So this just ended up being an extension of your custom knives.
It wound up, what it really wound up being is I was trying to make a fixed blade that everybody could use, and use the shit out of them.
If you guys haven't handled one of these things, like, I thought it was a much smaller knife when I first saw the pictures. It is a big, beefy fixed blade of doom. That is what it is.
Well, I mean, they're 3/16 thick. The blades are big. They've got probably a 6-inch blade.
It's not a joke. It's definitely not a joke.
I forgive me for not remembering the actual dimensions because I'm drunk. But they're a big knife, and actually, because of Jake and you, I decided that I would do a kitchen model of that, and I'm actually Jake and Levon actually get the first ones. The first ones coming out. They're ABL
kitchen pandas.
They're kitchen pandas, and since you two are so freaking picky, I have to change my, the finish that I want to do. But because you guys are so picky, I decided that on pandas, the actual Trash Pandas, when I go to the blade show, there's going to be several different options on finishes. I'm going to do a normal tumble the way I've normally done it, and then I'm going to do a wheel finish one.
That'll be real nice.
That I'm going to do, and then I was talking to Mick Strider. And maybe doing some, I don't know how you describe it. The ones that you actually talk about looking like they're flint napped, it's actually got
a black wash.
Well, the grind marks that look like it's been napped out of the knife.
Oh, like the
I've thought about
like the stuff Sebastian does. Porca blades.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've thought about doing some of that kind of stuff, more on the handles than anything else. I don't know how the other guys are going to finish these knives.
So you're collaborating with a couple makers that are going to grind these knives.
So Blade Show I'm going to have Les George is going to do 2. Brian Fellholder is going to do 2. Shane Siebert is going to do 2. And then Mick Strider is going to do 2. And I don't know how they're going to finish these knives. I have no idea. I'm just sending them the knives that are surface ground with the blades ready, and then the handles on them. And if they finish the handles, great. If they don't, they'll send them back to me. I'll finish the handles. But the blade is going to be theirs. However they want to grind it. If they grind it the same way, then it's still going to have their name on it. If they grind it goofy or however they want to do it, Matt Harris, I forgot the name. He's going to do some. I'm sure he's going to do a very deep chisel grind because
on that knife it'll be crazy.
Well, because his knives generally they look a whole lot like Horton's, because Horton's who taught him how to do it. So it's a chisel grind. So, but I've been around a while, so I've got a lot of friends. So there's going to be a lot of pandas at the Blade Show. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it. I really hate doing lotteries, but I'm thinking at the Blade Show I may have to do lotteries to not exclude anyone. If you want a trash panda made by a mixed rider, or you want one made by
you're
Les
definitely
George,
gonna have to do that. Definitely.
I don't know. And this is the first year I've ever had a booth at the Blade Show.
Well, we can't wait to come see what you got there.
Well, I'd have probably had a booth before if the Blade Show hadn't have stuck their dick in me real hard when I deployed and didn't give me my fucking money back. But, we'll just skip over that.
The next thing, first off, I want to tell you, what's the price of a trash panda knife? $2.99.
One that Siebert hasn't ground.
Well, no. I'm not raising the price because they
All right, you're a maniac. That's incredible.
No. I did honestly, Levon. I did have to raise the prices on them, and I'm kind of embarrassed about that. They were $275. I've had to raise the prices on them because the steel is a little more expensive now. So I am going to have to charge about $300 for these things now. Because the steel,
the price hikes on the steel.
Yeah, the price hikes on the steel. I'm just not going to be able to come out if I don't. So I'm going to have to charge about $300 for the 3V ones.
That's $25. That's not a lot.
It's a lot of 3V too, Dave.
Well,
when you handle this fixed blade,
I've seen the pictures.
You're gonna freaking love it. I already know.
Yeah, but Jake and Levon both, they seen the pictures and then they came to the show and said, "Holy shit, I didn't think that knife was that big." And I was like, "You're like the fifth person that walked up and told me."
I assumed it was small too when I saw the picture.
Oh, they're a big fucking knife.
I want to know how you decided on the best name for a line of knives that anyone has ever.
100%.
Yeah, ever. It's the best ever. It's just that comes out.
Well, I really wish that I had a fucking cool story from that, but and then I know I'm going to take shit from half these guys. I don't think very highly of my own knives. So Trash Panda just fit just perfectly. No matter what anybody thinks about my knives, I've always thought that my knives were just good using knives. So Trash Panda just fit.
It's great. It's a great logo too. I'm all about it. I love it.
The logo's fantastic.
I have a friend of mine that is a graphic artist down in Florida. Libby did my logos.
Well, Libby killed it. That's what she did because it's perfect.
I really like the logo. I think I'm going to have to get a smaller version of the deal to go on the new slip joint because it's going to be a little bit.
That's where the discussion was going to go next because we've been talking, for a while and we've discussed the marketplace and how it's changed and kind of how it stayed the same and the whole idea of what's old is new again and this new trend of modern old-fashioned slip joints has really become prevalent in the marketplace and I don't think people can get enough of them at this point. And I know you've had a drawing. You've been doing slip joints for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And you showed us a drawing of a slip joint that you had designed, I don't know, a long time ago.
Probably 97.
Right.
Something like that.
And you used to produce them. You made them. They're a large, I think they're a 3.5-inch blade or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you recently built another one just to see how it would work out. And what were your thoughts?
I had to have a little help. I will admit that completely. Most people know or don't know that John had a stroke almost 2 years ago. And, I took over sales and everything of John's knives. And yes, he is still producing knives. He's not an invalid. He can still produce knives. He's just not going to shows. But I had to have a little help because to do the thing. So JB Stout, I'd love to, throw that out there. That JB Stout really helped me with the heat treat on the springs. Just wanted to throw that out there so everybody listening can
Absolutely
get the accolades on that, because he really helped me out. But I used to do slip joints, but I was young, and John did a lot of the heat treating and things like that. And I didn't have anything to do with the heat treating because I was like 17 or 18 years old, and he was afraid I get burnt the fuck up. So he did all that, So when it came to it, I didn't do it. So I had to learn how, and he taught me. I just really wanted to make a knife that was legal everywhere. A slip joint is basically legal even in England, and England is a fucking douchebag of a country right now because you can't even carry a knife because you can. I mean, well, fuck. There's no reason for me to go into that,
right?
But even in New York City, you can't hardly carry anything. You can carry a freaking slip joint because it doesn't have a lock. You open it up. And so I wanted to make a knife that had the stiffest fucking joints that you could think about. But I wanted to be able to figure it out, to be able to produce it at Trash Panda prices.
Trash Panda prices.
That you broke the son of a bitch and you gave me a great story, and I'll put you a new blade in the son of a bitch.
Nice.
And that's basically where the first prototype I took to Fort Lauderdale. Yes, I sold the prototype at Fort Lauderdale. And that's it. It's basically a 3-inch blade. It's more of a little spear point type deal.
I know you did the prototype with micarta, but we can expect other materials and things like that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do them as solid titanium. Like the whole handle's gonna be titanium. I'm gonna do them out of carbon fiber and the micarta. I was selling them at $250.
Oh my goodness.
And they have a lifetime guarantee, just like everything from Trash Panda. Lifetime guarantee. I don't care what you broke the blade doing. Tell me how you broke the blade. Give me a story. Don't give me some stupid shit, but give me a story, what you did. And that way, eventually, I can start putting I don't know if it's a blog, but, I can put it on a website or something that some smart person can actually use technology, can put up. And
you'll probably have to make another Google account by then, but
Yeah, well, I'll have to hire somebody that's fucking smarter than me, but and put it up because I want everybody to have one of my knives in their pocket.
Well, I can't wait for that to happen personally, because $250 for a solid slip joint like that is going to be pretty cool.
Well, there's going to be a bunch of them at the Blade Show. I've already been sitting over on this fucking bandsaw. I've already been cutting them out. So they're coming. And I've already been cutting them out. I've been cutting a lot of Pandas out. I'm kind of going to switch some of the steels up at Blade Show. They're not all going to be 3V.
3V slip joint sounds pretty crazy to begin with.
There's going to be some 154 Pandas, and then there's going to be some 154 slip joints and 3V slip joints. Now the slip joints I'm going to call a kit, a Trash Panda kit. And the reason that comes about is that a baby raccoon is called a kit. So if anybody doesn't know what a Trash Panda is, it's a raccoon.
A rakin.
A rakin? That's a Yank word. I don't know.
It's definitely not. Yeah, it's raccoon. But that's where you are up until this moment. That's pretty impressive.
Well, I'm an idiot. That's about as good as I can do.
But you're our idiot.
Well, I can feel that because I like to rub you and Jake's beard.
Aaron, have you thought about having some of that stuff like water jetted to, since you're so conscious about the price of them? Would that save you money, or is it too much of a hassle?
I really don't know. There's one knife that I don't know. Jake and Levon have actually seen them. I make an actual razor, a shaving razor. I contacted some people about getting some of those water jet, and it seemed to me the price was so high to get the materials and to get them cut out that me sitting in front of my bandsaw for 2 days didn't seem worth the deal.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, I mean, if I had another income, that's one thing. But I've got a really good bandsaw, and I sit in front of it for 2 days. And yes, it sucks. I'm not saying that it's fun. It sucks that I sit in front of it, and literally, when everybody starts saying, "Well, how long do you sit there?" I'm literally saying that I will sit in front of the bandsaw for 6 or 8 hours. And I got a chair and I sit there and do it,
And how many are you making when you sit down and do that?
Generally on Pandas, I will sit and cut 25 of them at a time.
Jesus.
Because I mean, you figure for a full size knife, I'm thinking probably $10 a piece to cut them out water jet.
Is that? I mean, I'm so ignorant on it, dude, that I don't know. You're so much more advanced than me as a maker that it's disgusting.
I'm just giving you a rough estimate in price. I mean, it seems like when you got to put it all, when you're buying 25 isn't that much, but when you're buying, 100 at a time, and all of a sudden you're putting out a few $1,000s, then it sucks. But $10 a piece, to me, I would rather have the 2 days worth of labor to do something else.
Well, I mean, and that's and I have this discussion with a lot of people that I don't seem to know what I'm doing.
You do what works for you. I mean, that's the best. Everybody has different ways of doing things.
I'm very, very primitive. I really am. I do. I do folders that have internal stop pins, inside the blade, and I wind up sitting there cutting those things by hand. I sit and do it by file, because it's easier for me to file it than it is for me to do it any other way. And I understand that, and that's the reason when everybody starts talking about making one way compared to the other, I don't care how anybody makes their knives. It's the customer that ultimately decides that.
Yep.
And I don't care. If they're buying my knives, then I've done something right. If they're buying somebody else's knives, they're doing something right. If you go to a show and there's actually people in the door and you don't sell anything, you either have too high prices or you brought the wrong knives. That's the attitude that I was taught very early on, in probably 95 or something. But I don't care how anybody makes their knives. I know the Knife Makers Guild, they had a real issue with that. And when I made it into the guild in probably 99 and 2000, I don't care how anybody makes their knives. I just want to be able to make my knives and sell them. So
it speaks a lot to. Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
My only other opinion on that is as long as you're honest about the way you do it.
Definitely.
Don't have somebody else make them. Don't be lying, saying they're all handmade and it's it's not.
Or that's made in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kind of like Loveless. One I knew Loveless.
What?
So before you guys get any handmade or send any hate mail out of this deal, Loveless was the harshest man that I have ever spoken to, and I am a fucking sailor. He cursed me for being there at 17, and he wasn't even mad at me. He was just cursing at me. It's just the way he talked. And the sick thing about it is that Loveless didn't make even 1/3 of his own knives. Not even 1/3. I bet he didn't grind fucking 15 knives after he really got known. He had all kinds of people in his shop grinding his blades.
Wow.
He didn't do any of this shit himself.
It's stupid customers. I think they want to be lied to.
And,
I mean, it seems that
that's
way.
the reason he got in trouble for fucking mail fraud.
Wait, what?
Most people don't know that.
Damn,
Oh, God,
this is incredible.
Well,
Why is it okay to throw him under the bus and not the other guy?
Because he's fucking dead.
Yeah, but the drop point lives on.
Right.
What's he gonna do? Come to a show and fuck with me? Because
Aaron!
I can't stab the fuck out of a dead
Him and the
guy,
ghost of Brian
but
Tye are gonna come after you.
I like.
We
Brian
just always
Tye.
joke
Brian
about him
Tye's
being
a great
dead,
guy.
but
We love Brian
Yeah.
Tye.
Oh, I really like Brian Tye. He's a great guy.
We do love him. But yeah, continue.
I have no fucking idea where I was.
about him
Lovely.
committing mail fraud, which feel free to not talk about that if you don't want to.
He back in those days, you had to send all your knives through the mail, and then he would take all this money and not send them.
Oh, snap.
And then so they got him for mail fraud. So yeah, he'd been in trouble. He was in major trouble for tons of things.
History
Yeah, I was
repeats
gonna say maybe
itself,
this is
huh,
why
Dave?
so many knife makers are also sketchy, because the guy that basically invented modern knives also was doing this shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was something else. Like I said, he was the roughest. He was the roughest guy to talk to that I ever knew, and that's the reason it's really funny that I have been to shows in the tactical market, and people think I'm a new maker. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did you come from? I'm a new maker. Okay, I guess
Young Aaron Frederick.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like a look around and go, man, I must really, really suck at this if everybody thinks I'm a new maker.
I used to think Brian was the Eeyore of the knife industry, but I think Aaron has taken that prize.
I mean, I'm enjoying
Thank
it.
God.
Brian, you can just throw me anywhere you fucking want because, honestly, I don't give a fuck. It don't mean that.
Damn. Well, I guess never. The whole never meet your heroes thing. Damn.
Seriously.
Next thing we're gonna find out is that Bill Skagel was up to some wild shit. But
I didn't know.
yeah, he
him,
died in
so
'63, I guess. So
I'm just saying I didn't know
Yeah.
him.
He's putting that out there right away, just so you know.
I didn't know him.
But
now I can sit with Ron Lake, and me and him just sit and call each other fuckers, the whole time. So if anybody loves Ron Lake or know who he is, I can sit with that old bastard and have a great time. So.
And we did meet. We noticed that when we were at New York this past show, so that's pretty cool.
Well, like I said, if you come to a show and you need to talk to somebody, most of these guys do know me, and I've known them for years and years, and I can usually just say, "Hey, these guys want to talk to you."
Well,
kind of like what is it? Blade art. That's kind of how they got started. If it hadn't been for me, they wouldn't be selling knives right now. So
Aaron's a behind the scenes type of character.
seriously.
He's been secretly pulling the strings of the knife industry since 1995.
well, it wasn't even that. It was actually 1999 when that shit went on. But
Well, pardon me.
Well, when Larry Brahms came onto the scene, nobody was selling knives. That is no shit. Nobody's selling knives. And I actually ran into him, and he was talking about stuff. And, of course, in 99, I was in college, and selling knives was everything I wanted to do.
And this is about the time when the two CRKT knives came about, right?
The first one, yes. About that time, that's when I gave them the first top flipper CRKT.
Yeah, so let me put this out there. Aaron had a front flipper design, two CRKT, before the turn of the century.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's the story that also needs to be told.
No.
Right.
No. I actually, I've designed 4 knives for CRKT. Yes.
So, and they're pretty cool. Dave, you got to. I looked pictures up a couple nights ago. They're pretty nice looking knives. They all have some stupid CRKT like
mechanism or something,
extra lock or some kind of crap. But
yeah, they put that safety, that fucking safety
auto
on
locks.
one of them.
Yeah,
locks. It's what I know. It was like
they put a safety on one of them. It was stupid. But yeah, I mean, the idea was as a lake and a walker. It's a great idea, even though Lake wound up having an injunction against them, before it was over with. But hey, we won't talk about that.
Aaron, you're just a fountain of amazing knife gossip that people have never heard.
I've been here.
We need like story time with Aaron. That could be a whole podcast.
Yeah, but I'm an asshole, so nobody wants to listen to that shit.
Everyone wants to hear that.
Everyone wants to listen to this shit, dude.
Yeah. So I did CRKT stuff.
And how did that work out for you?
How far do you really want me to go?
I mean, we've said so many slanderous things about CRKT. I mean, I don't know what you could say that would be any worse than what we've already done.
Okay, well, here you go. I will tell the story in all its fucking glory. I did a couple of top flippers. My flippers came off the very top of the knife. That's something that I started a long time ago. Top flippers were a thing that I did, and I actually got the idea from Ron Eaton, which made $50,000 and $60,000 knives. I turned it into a tactical because I asked Ron Eaton if I could. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, I had some knives with CRKT. It took a long time to get some of them going. The next batch that really, really got hot was in 2005, 2006, and in 2007. Well, in 2005, 2006, and 2007, I was deployed pretty much the whole time. Pretty much the whole time when I say that one of my kids was born in some of this time, and he was 20 days old when I left, and he was 13 months when I got home. That's how long I was gone doing some of this stuff. So when I come home and decide that I want to get back into knives, and I'm trying to do it, I have an agreement that I'm supposed to sit down with the new VBSS line that I had came up with that we've already talked about with CRKT. So I show up to the Blade Show. I am still active duty. I'm also not far removed from being deployed. So I say that is because I expect a certain amount of somebody paying attention to me when I actually have had a meeting set up for months. I show up to the Blade Show and I pull out my knives, and the people that are supposed to be looking at them are on the phone, and they don't get off the phone. And I know who they're talking to. I'm not going to go that far into the story. I know who they're talking to. And they're not, they don't even give me the time of day. So I talked to some of the people from CRKT that I've known for years. People that basically, when I first came there, that I just got married, and they kind of had to babysit me along with Kit Carson because Kit knew that I didn't know what was going on. So Kit basically babysit me the whole time. And now it's been many years since the first stuff that went on. And then I'm there. The second day that I go and talk to CRKT, they still do not give me the time of day. They literally sit and talk to somebody else that doesn't have an appointment the whole time I'm there. And then so I picked all my knives up and packed them up, and I went back to where I was supposed to be. And then toward the end of the show, some of the people that worked for CRKT came over and said, "Hey, Rob wants to get some of the breacher stuff, and you didn't leave them." I said, "Well, I'm not giving them to him. I don't care if it cost me a bunch of money." I said,
"You wasted your time."
I said, but let me tell you this, and I will name drop this one. Doug Flagg, that works for CRKT, that came on after some of this stuff, and he came from Kershaw or whatever. And I told him flat out, I said, if I was at any other place, I'd put him in the fucking hospital.
Jesus.
I said, because I came here on leave, and the son of a bitch disrespected me 2 times. 2 different times I had meetings. And he basically didn't do anything with me when I was just here to show you guys knives out of good faith because I have dealt with you before. And you basically ignored me 2 times. And so that was the end of me.
Your relationship with CRKT.
CRKT. So you can edit that however you want, but that is the story. That is the story of it. Now, I have spoken to him many times since then, and I have apologized that I took such a hard line. But everybody has to understand where I just came from, and I had somebody basically treat me that way. That's not something that even today would go over very well. If you say that you want to meet with somebody,
it's incredibly disrespectful. No,
well, I don't care.
I think you did the right. I think you did the right thing by not dealing with them. I mean,
so knife deals, however they go, I haven't pursued a knife deal since then. I know that Boker has done stuff with John. They kind of acted interested in something that I was doing for a little bit with Boker, and I didn't pursue it because I'm to the point that I just don't trust anybody. You know, I don't want to be treated like shit. So I just didn't deal with it. So, you know, I guess it is what it is.
That's fair.
As we say in the military.
You're also not missing out on much by by passing up on a Boker collab, because more likely than not they would fuck it up unless it was a fixed blade. And then in that case, they'll probably fuck up the sheath. So, you know.
Well, I will say that I had a really good, solid fixed blade VBSS style thing going with Buck knives. And Chuck Buck died.
Damn.
You got the kiss of death there, Aaron.
Well, Chuck Buck was who I wound up talking to. I talked to him at the Blade Show, and he was absolutely enamored by it. And I had a good story on why that I had came over to talk to him, and then he started looking at it. And so anyway, I really did have a really good working relationship going on with Buck for a little while to make VBSS knives, the big fixed blade. And then, you know, unfortunately Chuck died, and that sucks. But you know, that was kind of the end of that. So like I said, I just kind of sit in the shadows and suck dick all day, I guess.
And on that note, Aaron, it's been crazy hearing from you. Just going through your entire life in the knife industry and everyone that you've encountered or, you know, it's pretty eye-opening. No, I didn't fuck them. That'll be revealed in the book, I'm sure. And we're definitely looking forward to all the stuff that you've got coming.
Well, the Blade Show might be interesting. I'll have my stuff. You know, I've started a whole different way of doing flippers. You guys will probably know it tomorrow. You're getting a whole package of knives tomorrow. That should be there tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Are you taking orders on other knives?
I'm taking orders all the time. The only thing that I don't really do a lot of times is unless it's a high-end something, when everybody starts really wanting to change a whole bunch of stuff, right? I don't do that. But if you're wanting a common, you know, hey, this is the design that I want, yeah, I do that, you know, every day, especially through email. A lot of times when you email me, I will call you to make sure I know exactly what you want, because no matter how it works, I'm still a custom knife maker. So how do you know?
So you prefer people get a hold of you via email, or phone, or Instagram?
I'd rather talk to people.
So where can they reach you? Do you want to put your number out here?
Yeah, it's fine. 606-776-7536.
And we'll definitely put that in the notes for you guys too. Aaron is obviously a very personable individual, and you can take, he'll take orders from you, and the knives are incredibly reasonably priced. So it's tough to get a knife like this from anyone else.
The only thing I've never understood about custom knives is why everybody looks at a knife and asks what's wrong with it. You even had that experience with a friend of yours the other night looking at knives and asked why they were so lower priced.
Right. Our buddy Adam Purvis, I talk to him all the time. And we're always just shooting the shit over, what knives he's picking up, what I might have coming in. And I told him, hey, you got to look at Aaron's stuff. He's a firefighter. So he was really interested in the VBSS knife.
They also, firefighters get a 20% discount. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a very cool thing. And I know, the way we are fickle people, we file that somewhere in the back of our mind. And then when the timing's right, we pounce on that build. So he's probably got that stewing in his head right now. And he's probably going to come swinging around to you after he hears this episode and be like, hey, Aaron, I need you to build me this knife. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when he was staggered by the pricing that I told him, I was like, dude, look, like that VBSS knife, I think, what is it, $600 or something?
Yeah.
Folder?
Yeah. Lifetime guarantee, but yeah, $600.
And that thing is nasty. So, it's pretty, it's a sticker shock, but not in the way you think. And it's a weird thing that we're all programmed to think that way. If it's not expensive, it must be crap.
Sad, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's a little bit strange.
It's what I mean. I guess that's how the custom market has made everybody these days.
It's amazing that we're at a point now, Aaron, where we're seeing like $950 knives by that are made in China. The rules don't exist anymore.
I don't even know how to handle it. I really don't. Because I've been here long enough that I keep looking around, going, well, how the hell did this happen? I guess, in some ways my prices haven't evolved through the market, but I still look around and go, how the hell did this happen? You've got a
we're living in the world of the $11 ball bearing flipper. So,
you've got some great production stuff. And I've picked them up and handled them, and I know the makers that designed them and things like that. When you're talking about like ZTs and things like that,
sure.
And you got, what is it? We knives.
We knives.
I know the makers that are behind those, and those production knives cost more than mine that are custom.
Yeah.
And I sit and make them. I sit and literally file this shit out, and those cost more than mine.
I think you're paying for a different thing. I mean, there's room in this world for both things to exist at a similar price point. It all depends on what your flavor is.
Well, that's actually, honestly, that's probably the best description of how to handle it that I've ever heard. You're paying for two different worlds.
That's true. And you're buying the maker too. And we talk about this all the time. Like, you're an incredibly personable guy. You're an honest guy. You get what you pay for, with you. You can't say that with a lot of different makers. It's why we align ourselves with people like Brian, who may, run his mouth every so often and piss people off on other podcasts or something. But at the end of the day, we respect what he does, and he doesn't rip people off. So that's why we actually call people out,
I don't know Brian, and everybody. I know Brian. I've met him. I've talked to him. I don't know him as well as I'd like to, but everything that
we're all shacking up together at Blade Show, though, right?
Well, yeah, I'm going to come spoon your ass.
I think that's more shovel his ass.
I'm just
Brian would know.
I'm just going to rub my fingers through his beard until I finish. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, God.
The only thing that I know about Brian is that you get what you get. You know it. You know it when you're talking to him. And that is a rarity with people, period. But makers, you know where you stand with Brian, and you usually know exactly where you stand with me, because if you say something fucking stupid, I'm going to call you on that shit. I don't care who you are. If you start giving me shit over something stupid, you're going to know it real quick, because I'm going to tell you. But you know, there's nothing wrong with everybody standing where they stand, knowing where they stand.
Yeah.
You know, Brian's knives are what they are, and everybody knows it. My knives should be exactly what they are, and everybody should know it. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think that there's nothing more to say than that, Aaron. And I think that's the truth.
Well,
there,
you know, as long as everybody knows I'm an asshole.
Oh, that is rightly apparent.
Yeah.
But Dave, I was thinking, you know, it's a good time for us to close out. We have a lot of stuff that we want to cover in news, but I think we're going to do a bonus episode early next week to cover a lot of the knife world stuff. How does that sound to you guys?
I guess.
Am I going to do that one too?
You can be present if you'd like to.
I've thoroughly fucking enjoyed
If we could just like pre-record you doing stories, we'll just have Aaron's story time that we cut to.
We may have a segment lined up for you. We'll talk after.
Well, I mean, I'm really sorry that I got kind of inebriated and jumped in on a lot of things, but
no way, we loved it.
I've actually thoroughly enjoyed this. I've done this so long that you know, I could probably sit through several episodes and do it. But
we'll definitely have you back for a full episode when you want to, after you've had more to drink, and then you can actually, you know, spill the beans on some other people too.
Oh Lord, I've got stories, but you know.
Well, thank you for joining us, dude. We really appreciate it.
Well,
man.
I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. You know, I hope that everybody doesn't throw their knives away now that they listen to me talk. But
I'm gonna throw them in a lake or something. It has happened. It has happened. Where can people reach you, Aaron? We already gave your phone number. That'll be listed in the liner notes, but also you can follow, what is it? Frederick Knives on Instagram.
I've got Instagram is Frederick Knives. I've got a Facebook. It actually is Frederick Knives. And then, you can go just to Facebook at, Aaron Frederick and find me. I'm in, West Liberty, Kentucky. You can find me like that.
In case you couldn't tell.
The best ways to reach me is probably the phone number. You can that's my cell phone. You can text it.
The Trash Panda also has its own Instagram that you and Brad run, right?
Yes, Brad Maddox, which is an incredible sheath maker. He's an aspiring knife maker, but he is an incredible sheath maker. He makes all the kydex and everything for all the Trash Pandas. He's got a new thing that he's going to do for the kitchen pandas. The kitchen pandas, when you get them, they will not just be a kitchen knife that's going to go in your drawer. It's actually going to have a kydex sleeve. That's awesome. It's going to have a kydex sleeve that goes across the actual cutting edge, and a strap that goes over top of the blade.
Oh shit! I can't wait.
That way you can stick it on there, and then you can put it in the drawer and do whatever you want. So Brad's doing all that, and so if you get on Instagram, anytime you get on Instagram and get on Trash Panda or either Frederick Knives, you might be talking to me, or you have to ask on who it is, because Brad is he's very much nicer than me. So Brad does a lot of the communication. So if you get something that's typed out in proper English and everything's spelled right and things like that, that's probably Brad. That's not me, because I can't spell, and I usually get angry because you're bothering me.
It took us a while to set up this call, by the way, in case everybody was wondering.
Oh, because technology fucking sucks.
Aaron tried almost threw his phone several times. So
but
we're glad he's here.
Well, I mixed I think 3 drinks fucking with this shit. So,
and on that note, thank you guys for joining us. This was quite an amazing episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was good time.
You know what word we didn't use this entire time? China D2. I had to just say it.
China D2.
I just had to. Just gotta say it.
There's very little China D2.
Yeah, if you're listening at home and you're playing the Knife Nuts drinking game, there you go. You can take a shot now. We said it.
Yeah.
What word?
China D2.
China D2. You listen to this podcast. How do you not know China?
It's like
D2?
our whole brand at this point. Like, this the whole knife
Well,
shit is
I want to
riding on
be
it.
JB Blunt. I want to be JB Blunt and fucking Horton and start talking about D2 and people with steel. Oh my gosh, I could have a whole episode with these idiots talking
I hope you have the
about
music
steel.
fading in this whole time, Dave. That's just the way you got to
All right,
do
I'm
it.
going to stop recording.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say I could have a whole episode talking about steel.
That you just got to fade out with his rant about people talking
Yep.
about.
All right.
Anything else here?
I thought you had an iMac.
I do in the shop.
You can do it on your phone. Brian does it on his phone the whole time.
Hit record.
So make a new account. So add an account.
No, yeah, you want to create an account.
Okay, well, let's see. Google. Just go to Google and then
Create an account.
No, yeah. If you do add an account, that's assuming you already have the account that you're trying to sign into.
I guess I'll have to log out or something of this one. Or I can add an account or I can just sign out. Let's see what.
Yeah, hit sign out. That's a good one. Do that. Then just say create an account.
I have questions about the Wicked Edge from listeners.
Well, I don't have a way to create another account. I can use another account is what it says.
All right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to Safari.
Okay, that's what I'm in.
You're going to go to google.com. Or just go to go to gmail.com. Do that. Go to gmail.com. Do that.
Okay.
What do you see on gmail.com?
My accounts come up. Account Google comes up.
I need you to sign out of Google.
Yeah, they're both signed out. That's what it says. They're both signed out.
Okay, then tap in the username field, and you should see switch account.
It says choose account or use another account.
How about use another account?
Okay, and then we can add an email or create account.
There you go.
Finally, it says it. Okay, so, all right, let's do this. This is I've done this about 4 times, so I've got accounts out in the air all over the place now. I was gonna say I was about to throw my phone. Just okay.
I think you were just typing accounts in the field and trying to log into them.
No, I actually, when I go to the thing, it says you have created this account. We're waiting on verification. I was like, I don't even have a Gmail account. So I've never checked my Gmail. I've never had one. I've always used Gmail.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So if you can't figure this out for whatever reason, Aaron, I'm going to create an account and give you the username and password.
Okay, so I'm doing it now. To use a Gmail instead of the Yahoo that actually is.
Yeah, use a Yahoo that's there.
Well, it won't. It just says username.
Yeah, you're going to create a new username. Just make it be like, I don't know, big country big. I don't know. Just make it something stupid. I have no idea.
Shit.
Beep, beep.
No.
I'm watching.
No, but
It's amazing that some people can be so stupid to follow this shit.
wow. I made
I don't even
Christine
know what
watch
K2 is.
in Until the Light Takes Us.
All right.
Aaron, how you making out?
I'm doing it now. This one's actually, it's going to let me use my phone number instead of an email, so we'll be able to do it easier.
Perfect. Did you guys hear what I said? I made Christine watch Until the Light Takes Us.
Never heard of it. Shut up, Loki.
No, not yet. I heard it was. Oh wait, yeah, I have. I think I have seen it. Yes.
I'm waiting on the text right now.
Okie dokie. I'm just on the phone with the other guys too, Aaron. So we're all in the thing.
That's
So,
fine. I knew as soon as I started having this trouble, we were fucked.
no, it's fine. We got you. We sort of expect this sort of thing at this point.
Well, you really should expect it when you're starting. I mean, I'm the most primitive person that you know. So,
All right, that is not true.
well, when I was excited about getting a light table, and you guys said, "Hey, why don't you just use your iPad?"
Yeah, well, that's true. That was kind of funny.
John Gray has to be the most primitive person we know.
Yeah, John Gray was definitely the worst.
Here we go. I got it. So let me go back. I'm gonna write it down. It's longer than I thought it'd be. G.
Sorry. Just emptying my machine while we're waiting.
Sounds like he's doing the sound effects for the next Alien movie.
Loki?
No, Brian's got his shop going in the background. You can't hear them because they're on the headphone. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not. I would normally have my surface grinder going. Surface grinding pandas mainly. Upgrade to a smart something. Get an app. I don't need an app right now. Just
You want the Google Hangouts app. That's what you want.
it's just get a Gmail app. That's
Yeah, just download the Google Hangouts app.
okay. So I'll.
Yeah. You don't need the Gmail app right now, no.
So now I'm signed in. What do I do now? Go to the.
You're signed into Google Hangouts?
I'm signed into this new account, I guess.
Okay, well, you need to download the Google Hangouts app if you haven't done that yet.
Okay.
You're almost there.
I'm trying. I'm in the mail right now, and I don't need to be.
Right.
Big country, big dick at gmail.com. And that's a complete lie. I do not have a big dick. 100% lie. Okay, Hangouts.
Oh boy.
Go to gsuite.com, or is that just
No.
here, let me.
Okay.
I'm trying. Get app. Yes. Get.
Okay, say that again because I had my headphones unplugged.
Well, my wife is wearing that shit out upstairs.
Off
I guess she's
the top of my head,
rope or
I'm
something.
gonna go Schleesh, but
Loki, you sure complaining a lot. All right, now what? I've got it open.
Are you logged in?
I don't know.
Did you guys see that piece of shit Stellite that they fucking sent me?
yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
Easy connect to friends.
$385 and you send me that piece of shit? I don't know. I don't like it. It supposedly has less coefficient of friction, so it's good for like skinning and stuff like that.
All right, I'm trying to log in now.
Okay. What's your username, Aaron? Is it bigcountrybigdick at gmail.com?
I don't know yet.
What do you mean you don't know yet?
Give me a second, damn it. Oh, shut up. 9831.
No, he's definitely logging into Google because he definitely just got a 6-digit G code.
Stellite is a super alloy specifically designed for high
I'm
wear
loving it.
resistance, superior performance in hostile
I
environments.
think it's just,
Resistant to cavitation, erosion, corrosion, galling, and abrasion.
What's your username, Aaron?
I'm looking. I don't know how to see it.
What's the email that you created when you set it up?
Well, the email is, I mean, I can tap your phone number and it.
Just don't tap my phone number. Just tell me what the email is that you created.
It should say Big Country Big Dick at gmail.com.
Big Country Big Dick at gmail.com.
I swear it really was big country.
Are you recording all this? Good.
All right.
No, it may not. Just try Aaron F.
Jesus Christ! It says I just got a note. I got a
How it
notification.
went back to that, but that's what it's acting like.
I don't think he's here.
Oh, he's here.
It said we added you to the chat.
Yeah, I just got a notification. The best notification of my life.
Let's see. Does this thing work? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, but I got to get off.
No, I know. I was trying a headset, seeing if it worked.
Is he in the chat? He's not in the chat, is he? No.
Like I said, try the other email.
Okay, what's the other email, Aaron?
It's Aaron F.
Aaron F.
at mrtc.com.
at mrtc.com. I don't know if you can add non-Google accounts. The sounds, unless it's like a Google business account, it might be. Just try it. All right, so we added both of those to the chat.
I don't know where to see it. I mean,
Are you in Google Hangouts? It's green. The app
unknown person. There we go. Maybe it.
Yeah, I like unknown person. Let's do that. We're
Wait a
unknown.
minute. I think I see.
You want to accept the invitations.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think I would. I think I seen Jake's face for a second.
That's a good sign.
Oh,
I've got,
there he is. I'm hanging up with
Okay.
you. Oh, God. Can we hear you, Aaron?
He's in here.
He's in here, but can we hear him? Great. Oh, no. He looks like a thumb. Look, Aaron, we can't hear you at all. You might need to change your in. Are you on your phone? Fuck. What?
Maybe,
Aaron, I'm just going to call you again.
start a new call or something.
I couldn't hear you guys.
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Okay. Well, let me unplug the microphone thing.
Okay.
That may be causing the whole problem.
Okay.
Ongoing call. Okay, now
Yay!
yep, it's the headset. I was just trying. I know it's more clear with this headset. I'm going to try one more trick, and if that doesn't work, then I'll just say fuck it and use it. So, it's got a control box. I mean, it's not even mine. It's Tristan's. I went upstairs and got it. So, fuck, I ain't got enough hands for this shit.
And you can tap the camera icon, so if you don't want to use it. That way.
You got to throw me into fucking technology shit. All right. Can y'all hear me and see me?
Perfectly.
Okay. That's it had a controller box, and the controller box was fucking me all up, and I ain't smart enough to fucking do his shit.
All right. Now, Aaron, you can stay on video if you'd like, but you don't have to.
Well, I only see pictures of you fuckers.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to.
It saves
Okay.
a little bit on the bandwidth, at least in theory.
Well, okay.
Yeah, your battery life will thank you.
All
But-
right. All right. Well, I'll do that when I sit down and shit. I don't know where I had a thing that I was going to mix this drink with, but
Aaron, are you lit already? Because
oh no, I was. That's the reason I was getting so angry was
We're-
because I wasn't. And
well,
I
you
was
need
trying
to. Well, we're not. I'm mad at you because you aren't.
Hey, I had baseball practice. I'm one of the coaches.
That's right. I know. Yeah, you should just show up like freaking shit faced to the little league game.
I can't imagine how bad the parents would want me if I did that.
Right.
I'd coming on to the ugly moms or something. Actually, if I got that way, I'd probably come on to the dads. Who knows? Let the sailor out. Damn. You guys in this fucking technology, you should have done this shit at, I don't know, say 1 o'clock today when I said, hey, are you working? And you didn't ever answer me because you're a douche. But
oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry I'm not available at your beck and call, Aaron.
Most people should be. That's the way I feel. But.
Right. Are you going to sit down in one place, or what are you going to do right now?
Yep, I'm going. That was pretty strong. Okay. All right. I don't have all the sunflower seeds that I'd actually want to sit here and talk to you assholes, but. Okay. Well,
so Aaron, just a brief rundown of what's going to happen. There's basically no rules, but we usually introduce the show. We obviously introduce that you're with us. We run down a couple of new knives that we may have acquired since the last time we gathered, and then we just let the shit show take its course.
All right. Well,
at some point,
run shit shows. So.
At some point, we'll have to actually request that Aaron take us through like his history, and when did you get interested in knives? When did you start making knives and all that kind of stuff?
Okay.
Starting with which of the southern states you're from that are all just one big cluster in my mind, and I don't know which is which.
Well, if you hadn't
don't have to do that yet.
You hadn't won that war of northern aggression, we wouldn't have had to fucking deal with it. We killed 3-1 of you guys. You're all lucky to be here.
All right. I'm going to start this podcast. All right.
Go for it.